But the winky link. Come on into the ditch. I'm your resident ditch witch, Tara Tine, and we're about to get witchy, whether you like it or not. Welcome back. If it's your first time here, then it's just welcome. Don't forget to hit subscribe and hit the bell to get notified whenever I upload. Now, before I start, a disclaimer on this thing. What I'm describing here is my experience and the experience of a lot of my generation here in Ireland. There's fewer of us being raised Catholic these days, what with all those injustices and inequalities, and you get the picture. But for us, it's not necessarily like a duality of Catholic and pagan. One has certainly fed the other here since the rise of Christianity in the 5th and 6th centuries, and there's a fair bit of crossover. It's actually really common for even staunch older generation Catholics to travel to a spiritual healer for what we call the cure for any one of a range of ailments. These are usually some form of folk magic and will often engage Christian energies, so don't come at me for comparing Christian practice and pagan practice. That's what we do here. And as a disclaimer to my disclaimer, you don't actually need to practice religion and or spirituality to be Irish, so there. Yeah, and I'm not even going into fairies, because most families in Ireland are fairly sensible and encourage their kids to respect and avoid them. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with encouraging your children in the occult. It happened to me, and I turned out fine. But all that time spent in dramatic Gothic churches and all those quaint little traditions we thought were harmless inventions of American television, well, it's bound to have some effect. So here's a list of the 6 most common and occulty ones in no particular order. Number 1, the Tooth Fairy. This is actually the meme that inspired this video. Kids putting their teeth under their pillows is the most occultist shit in the world. Yes, child, put the discarded bone under your pillow. If you are lucky, the tiny demon will come and make her purchase. Sell your bones for riches, my child. Your youth will be spent soon. I was tagged in it by a few different friends. Thank you. I live for this kind of content. It's pretty much why I'm still on Facebook, and also because I don't know how to tweet or TikTok or Twitch or Tinder or any of those other things yet. The first written record of the Tooth Fairy story as we recognise it today, aka child's tooth falls out, is left under the pillow, and is bought for a reward by a fairy who swoops into the child's bedroom and ferries their body parts off to realms unknown for reasons unknown, is from the Chicago Tribune in 1908, when a dentist wrote that children are more amenable to having loose or bad teeth removed if there's a reward of some kind offered in its place by the so-called Tooth Fairy. But there are many traditions and written records from all over the world illustrating practices and sometimes supernatural characters involved in taking them away. Ratoncito Perez, forgive my Spanish, for example, is familiar to children in Spanish and Latin American cultures as the friendly rat version of the Tooth Fairy. Rodents have strong, sharp teeth, so I guess that explains that. Also, I tried to find a credible written source online for the story that Vikings would pay money for children's teeth and other articles as they were thought to be good luck charms. But the wiki link led me nowhere. I scanned an English translation of the Norse medieval text Prose Edda for the words tooth and teeth and found nothing, and basically I wasn't able to verify either way. But the point isn't where the story came from. The point is it's here now, and it's teaching children that offering your body parts to supernatural beings is a good thing, and it's usually not. It's usually very, very bad. And no one ever asks where the teeth go, like, hey, Tooth Fairy, you wouldn't happen to be planning on selling my teeth to some witch who wants to control me body and soul for the rest of my days? No. Good. Yeah. You wouldn't sign something to that effect, would you? Number 2. Holy Communion. There is nothing like a bit of symbolic cannibalism to start your Sunday. I personally couldn't wait to see what Jesus tasted like. If you've never tried it, it's called the communion wafer, and it tastes exactly like wafer, but holier. In fact, if you had two of them, bit of ice cream in there, slider, delish. But of course you aren't allowed to talk about Jesus's flavour profile, because apparently that makes you a serial killer or something. Number 3, Santa Claus. Most of us will by now be aware that Santa's modern image is an amalgamation of European pagan rituals, Christian folk tales, Dickens's fictional Ghost of Christmas Present. Ghost of Christmas Present. I just got that. Very good. Politics and a Coca-Cola brand ad campaign. The actual Saint Nicholas was born in the 3rd century Roman Empire and was famously known for having taken pity on a devout man who had lost all of his worldly possessions due to plotting and envy of Satan, not Santa. In one version of the story, the man feared for his 3 daughters, whose dowries he couldn't afford, that they would remain unmarried and likely have to resort to sex work. In that version, St. Nicholas threw the dowry for each daughter in through the man's window over the course of 3 nights. In both stories, St. Nicholas donates money to the stricken man and makes him promise not to tell anyone, hence the tradition of his secret gift giving was born. These days, kids are petitioning Santa in writing for the toys that they want, which is fine for now. They curb their rapscallion urges in order to appease the omniscient demigod who dwells in the frozen north. But what if that demigod decides the good behaviour isn't good enough anymore? What if he starts demanding more, and more, and more, and more, and more? Number 4, baptism. I mean, it sorta speaks for itself. A ritual cleansing of the dirty, dirty sin that all Catholic children are assumed to have been born with. Some of them priests would be like full on waterboarding the baby. Some of them think a wee dip of the screaming head under the water will suffice. I don't remember my own, but it probably explains a lot. I mean, look at me. What even is this? And what if the priest says the wrong name? More common than you'd think. Will St. Peter even know who you are when he's flicking through the guest list? Another part of the baptism ritual is renouncing Satan and all of his works. That's probably my favourite part, actually. In the case of the vast majority of baptisms in Ireland, which are happening to minors who are too young to speak for themselves, their godparents will do the renouncing for them by proxy. I can confirm that since I defected from the church, Satan hasn't appeared at all, or shown even the slightest bit of interest in selling me his works. Should I be offended? Number 5. Making a wish / throwing a penny in a well / petitioning God for stuff we want. I mean, these are all cute and comforting things for a kid to do, but there's always one kid, I was that kid, who took it a bit too seriously and expects a life of good things because of the sheer amount of luck on my side. I cannot describe the overconfidence of a child who had a long-standing pen pal friendship with Santa Claus. Thanks, Mom. Or who visited Jesus at his personal address in heaven in her dreams after learning how to pray. I was bulletproof. Bulletproof. I had contacts the other kids couldn't dream of. What could possibly happen to me with my network of high-ranking buddies? Number 6. Taking a confirmation name. This essentially means assuming a new alias for the purpose of beginning your life as a servant of your chosen god. In the same way a modern Wiccan or Reconstructionist might dedicate themselves to Bridget and change their name to Whale Bridget or similar, or if I were to lose the run of myself and start worshipping the gods of capitalism and insisting that everyone calls me Dennis O'Brien. Yeah, I mean, it is a good idea to have an alias when working with a god who'll accept one, because not all gods will let you just show up and give a fake name, you know. That way if you mess up, it's a lot easier to just blame someone else. It was Tara. So I hope you've enjoyed this delve into the experiences of children who were reared Irish Catholic in Ireland in the last 20 to 30 years. 20 to 40. I just think it's very odd the way there are still so many people pretending that they're completely separate and have nothing at all in common with each other. It's just not true. Sorry, not sorry. Irish childhoods. Full of magic, full of mystery, kind of wild though, but that's what you want. Like I said, I turned out okay, you know? So like I say, by all means, do the rituals, practice whatever makes your heart happy, pick an organised religion, pick a spiritual path, pick a graphic novel series, it's all good. I don't judge. I'm just saying, if you're gonna raise your child in the occult, don't be surprised if they grow up and start calling themselves a witch and making YouTube videos about it. So a lot of you will have seen that Dave recently got his driving license, so obviously we've been making lots of plans on fun places to go. So we are heading away for 3 days to a surprise location. I may or may not have a video out next week, and it's not because I won't be filming. I'll be filming loads for you. It's just that it's coming to the point in the year where there are some other projects that I need to now get caught up on, and it's just going to be a matter of time managing and seeing if I can do everything at once, and if I can't, then I may need to take a week. But I'm going to do my best to keep that content coming, and if I'm not here next week, I'll be back the week after with lots of footage from our holidays. So hit subscribe for more fun and witchy adventures. I upload every Thursday, except possibly next Thursday, and you're not going to want to miss it. Slán agus bannacht, goodbye and good luck to you. Kids pulling their teeth under their pillows. Don't do that, kids. And is bought for a reward. A reward. But the winky link. Oh, I cracked myself up. The winky. Okay. Right. Just need to readjust myself. Oh god. Sure, what else would you be out of a Friday night, huh? Can you see that fly? Please ignore the fly. Number 5, making a wish / throwing a penny into a well. Oh, that's it. You're on the list. You cut a fly a break. Next thing he's in your bloody eyeball. Or visiting Jesus in his porcelain address. Not quite porcelain. Gods of capitalism. Gods of capitalism. Well, it's... Oh, sorry belly, dinner soon.